Hi everyone, I'm going to show you a whimsical autumn landscape today. So the first thing that I've done is I've taken a palette knife and some masking fluid. I've dipped my palette knife into the masking fluid and then I've flicked towards me very close to the paper. So I've done that a couple of times. I've then got a knitting needle, dipped it into the masking fluid and drawn some lines. So I'm indicating some brambly cow parsley here. What does happen is the masking fluid goes further than it needs to go, but that is no problem because all you're going to do before you start is just rub out the specks that have gone a bit too high. So I'm just rubbing those little bits out, just brush them off. Even one there. It's all about getting random and this works really well. So I'll talk you through the colours I've got as we go. Pop some water on, all the way across, nice and loose. I've got a round number 10. I'm dipping it into some raw sienna. Just budge this way a little bit and then you'll see it all. So dip into water, dip straight into the raw sienna. I'm going to come across. I've got a lot of water on here, but that's fine. I'm going to work with it. Nice big puddle. It's going to have some interesting effects. Just bring a bit into this foreground as well. Rinse my brush out. Dip into some cobalt blue. I'm just going to give an indication of blue within the sky. The blue is slightly stronger than the raw sienna, which is why it's not going green. So it's just slightly stronger. I'm going to pick up now, a loaded wet brush again, a bit of cadmium yellow. So we're going to come in towards the foreground with that. Nice and strong. Cadmium yellow is opaque, so it tends to be a bolder colour. And I want it to feel like there could be brambly landscape starting to appear. I've got some burnt sienna, so I'm going to bring some of that in into the middle as well. Fully loaded with nice thick burnt sienna. Start to create something in the puddles. This is all sort of semi-abstract. So this could be a hedgerow starting to form with some distant trees. If I dip into this, this is viridian, and then mix it with what's left of that burnt sienna, I'm going to make a nice natural green. And bring some of that in. We're working with the puddles. Bring some of this through. Want a variety of height. Take some into that puddle. bring some through the foreground. Just going to start to darken this up. If I dip into a little bit of the bright green, I'm going to bring some of that through as well. So this is Viridian, not really to be used on its own, but it will work for what we want now. Okay, I'm going to come into some cadmium red. So the red and green will mix really nicely together, make it look much more natural. Need a little bit more cadmium red. Remember, we're thinking autumn, so we need these warm colours in here. Just stroke this through. I'm still with the same brush. Round number 10. We're just working the paint, letting it do its thing. Now if I pick up a knitting needle, I'm going to just indent the paper. So I'm going to start to get some brambly bits. You could use a bamboo skewer, you could use a twig sharpened with a pencil sharpener. All of these things work. Just be a little bit careful over your masking fluid that you don't rip it off. But it's just like drawing with a pencil, but you're drawing into wet paint. You're going to get all these lovely indents working really nicely. So we're concentrating on getting these bits into the foreground. Okay, with a clean dry brush now, I'm just going to lift this puddle out. If you do this with kitchen towel, then you end up with a white mark. I'm going to let this dry naturally, but you don't want huge puddles, so you just want to take the excess water out with a clean dry brush. You can see I'm just dabbing it off. I'm happy with how it's flowed, and I'm just going to let it dry, and then we're going to make it all come together. Okay, so that's nicely dry now, and I've got some really lovely effects, and the trick now is to not lose them by overworking them. So I have got some Papermate Flair pens. You can get them in all different colours, and they are fantastic for doing pen and wash. So what I'm going to do now is start to accentuate, so this is a golden colour, that autumn sort of feel. So I'm now making a field. I'm not outlining, I'm adding texture. And what's going to happen is when we come over with a bit of water, it's all going to blend. The beautiful pen, the black especially beautiful, it's like a quink ink, it breaks into pinks. I'm going to add some more brambly bits. So we're going to start to build up in the foreground. Using autumn colours. So I have got the gold, I have got an orange, and I've got a dark brown. I'll put some bits of orange in here as well. Then I'm going to come in with the dark brown. So all of these should blend together and have some wonderful effects. I'm going to actually take a little bit of a tree trunk here, because I can see part of a tree happening there. And then take some darker bits in towards the bottom here. Bits come in here. So lots of scribbly lines. Might take a little bit through there, a little bit through there. The more dark I can get within this area, the more that when I rub the masking fluid off, the cow parsley brambly bits will stand out. Oh, and then I think we'll have a little bit of a whimsical figure, maybe near the tree. So for a figure, I'm going to do a small head, some shoulders, work down, and some legs. Pop a little indication of an arm in, and maybe we'll have a dog. So we'll have a little bit of a dog, or a big dog, a little bit of a dog there as well. And we'll blend that in a little bit. Okay, so I've got my round number 10 and a wet brush, and all I'm going to do is start to hit this so that it blends. So the paper's dry, so the paint below isn't going to move, but the rest of it should. So I'm hitting below the figure. I'm going to bring a little bit of water to blend this through. It's quite slow to blend. It will blend, but it doesn't blend instantly. You look and come back and go, oh yeah, I can see it. So I'm just really sweeping water over. I am being careful of the figure. I'm going to go down to a smaller brush for the figure. You can hit some bits and not others. It's just a really quick way and a really fun way to play with pen. Not everything should be an exercise in you doing a finished picture that works perfectly. It's about having fun and finding your style. So I've got number 6 now. I'm just going to blend the man and his dog a little bit so they're not too bold. Okay, so I'll dry that off. Okay, so that's nicely dry now. What I've done is I've loaded my brush up with a little bit of green, and I'm going to catch the surface of the paper. So I'm holding the brush quite flat. The brush is fairly loaded, and I'm just going to give this tree a little bit more detail. So it's just catching the surface, scraping over, and getting that lovely detail. And that's going to make that work much better. It's quite a muted colour. I put a lot of burnt sienna into that mix just to keep it nice and muted. And then with 2 fingers, when this is dry, you're just going to rub off the masking fluid. Takes a bit of work. You can see that coming together now. Rub that off. If you rub your finger over it, you'll be able to feel if it's all gone or not. And there we go. So that's pen and wash, autumn feel, nice and whimsical. I'll pop a mount on. You can see the final. There we go. So that's all in the mount now. Really effective, nice loose painting. You're using the wetting wet to its best advantage. The light of the cow parsley just brings that forward, which is really pretty. You could fill that in if you wanted to with a lighter green on the stems, but I quite like it being white. And then you've got the figure in the distance with the dog and the tree that's pulling that across for a focal point. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll pop another video here for you if you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.